One thing I wanted to highlight really quickly before we get into talking about creating your own custom classes and extending existing UnrealScript functionality or writing your own new stuff is I wanted to talk about kind of how the file structure in Windows, like Explorer, for instance, needs to be set up for that. So you'll notice over here in the Solution Explorer that I have a folder that is the same name as the project, though that is not required. That's just kind of my convention, but you have to set this folder up manually as well as putting a folder inside of that called classes, and then that's where you want to store your custom script files. You can see I've got a couple here, and we'll go over adding these here quickly. But I wanted to explain that you need to set this up manually, and I'll show you here inside. If you go inside your UDK version, you'll have the different subfolders for the different versions if you have more than one installed. And inside the development and the source folder is where all of the UnrealScript is stored. Earlier when we set up the solution, you remember that Visual Studio automatically put it in a subfolder, and we actually pulled that back out and put it here at kind of the top level source directory. And then what I did was create this this E3D UnrealScript folder manually, and then manually created a folder under it called classes. And you'll see that follows the convention of all of their other. They will have some files in here, although this is a rare occurrence, but generally it's always the classes, and this is where all of their files are stored. As you can see, there's many, and this is just in one of the folders. There really is a lot of existing UnrealScript. A lot of the game play and stuff for Unreal Tournament and Gears of War and all of the other Epic games are really driven heavily by UnrealScript because it's the nature of the way they've architected it. So after you've set up these two folders, there's one other thing that you need to do so that when you are building or making the UnrealScript, which can be done from Visual Studio using the Infringe plugin or the IDE, but you need to make sure that UnrealScript knows about the new folder you've created. So I have another Windows Explorer window here, and you can see, I'll back to the root folder here of the UDK installation, and we were in development source there for where we were storing it. But here inside of the UDK game folder, there's a config folder, and this has all of the INI files, which are the configuration settings for everything from the editor to the game. As you can see, there's a kind of a wide range of different default files, even down to weapons. And so we're going to open up the UDK engine. And here, we're going to do a search for edit packages. So we're under the heading. If you'll notice in the INI files, it kind of have different groups or areas that each have their own heading. This is how the engine defines kind of what commands it finds or what lines here, how they're applied. So this is applying this to the editor engine. And you'll see there's all kinds of different things. You can look through these INI files and find all kinds of interesting settings and things that you can tweak and tune, although be careful because you can also change the settings to something that will break your editor and cause it not to load until you can figure out how to revert your changes. So edit with caution. But what we're looking for is the section here on edit packages. So you'll see here that there is this edit packages in path, and that's our development source. And then each one of these edit packages, you'll notice, corresponds to, if I go back to the source folder, sorry, let me back up, go to UD game, and you see script, you're going to see these files here. These are the .u files. This is like the compiled version of the UnrealScript. And you notice that these names, most of these names match something that is right here. So this is kind of defining the packages that it's going to create. The term packages can refer to kind of a lot of things in Unreal. It can refer to a package which an asset or a number of assets are stored in, or it can also refer to a .u file, which is the compiled version of a .uc file, or a collection of .uc files. So what I've done here is added this additional line called, with the keyword in front of it, mod edit packages, and then set that equal to the folder that I created. You technically don't have to have the mod. Edit packages would work as well. That's just kind of the recommended convention when you are creating, a modded version of an Unreal game or creating your own project, that you kind of keep it separate just for clarity and for readability. So added that line, saved that. So now whenever you're here in Visual Studio and you go to build, it's going to kick off your project. If you go to project properties, and we'll, sorry, not the solution, the actual solution or project. You see the UCC path here gives the executable that we're running. And if you look at the build, here's what's actually being basically generated. The command line is taking that executable that you specified, and then it's running a make command on it with the debug flag. And so this right here is basically looking at that source folder and compiling all UC files that it knows about. And what we edited in that INI file was here in UDK engine is what enabled the make command to know to basically look through the folder and inside that classes folder and grab any UC files that are in there and compile those. And so now if you look at the script folder, I've already compiled this. I now have an e3d UnrealScript.u file, and it's very small because I haven't really added anything, but this is the compiled version of any custom scripts that I've added for my project.